Before we begin, let's take a few moments to worship the Supreme One, the infinitely compassionate One, the One who realized the truth and was able to eradicate all his defilements. The Supreme Buddha. To do so, please join me in chanting the Namaskar and pledging our allegiance to the Supreme Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. What is it that brings people together? What is it that brings people together? Throughout our many thousands of years of the history of the world and history of Homo sapiens, humans, the one thing that brings all humans together is stories. Stories are what brought many hundreds of people surrounding a fire. Right? We've all heard of the stone men, right? They used to huddle around a fire, relating stories of what happened to them, relating stories of weird and wonderful things, and that brought people together. And that's what gives us our language. The reason why historians say, the reason why we have such a beautiful language, whatever language we speak, English, Sinhala, French, German, etc., 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 it was in the most basic way to tell a story, which has its benefits, but then also has its downfall. Benefits why? So we can relay a feeling to one another. Then what is its downfall? Well, unfortunately, these words aren't perfect. Perfect for what? Relaying a feeling that can help us get out of the story, or get out of this. Get out of ignorance. So this is the thing, using words, whatever language. Some people say, it's easier to preach in Sinhala because why? It's a more of a language based in feeling. However, it is still a language. A language wasn't made to relay such a profound meaning. Language was basically made to tell a story. So I want to explore this storytelling business. Why? What's up with these stories? Because I feel this can give us more insight on the mind as well as the way we behave and the way we get ideas as well. So let's talk about some stories that we've all known. But most importantly, let's talk about why. So I'm pretty sure most of you at least, if not all of you, no longer go home and turn on the TV and watch TV shows. I don't think any of you would actually now turn on the TV and now watch a 2 hour long movie. I don't think. I hope not. I say it like that. But of course, we used to. We used to, I don't know about you, but I used to. I used to spend many, many hours in front of a screen watching a TV show, watching a movie. And it's very interesting because this is something that, humans have done since we've had a TV. People used to sit in front of them and watch these TV shows, movies daily. So I was talking to several of our monks, and they were telling me how back in the past, right, especially in not so well developed countries, TV used to be a luxury. So we're not talking about very far, maybe 50, 40 years in the past, 30 years maybe. When one house had a TV, everyone in the village would come and surround this TV to look at that one episode. And then we had color TV. Again, when the house that had that one color TV would be the most luckiest household. And people from all around the village will find ways to, get the front row of that small screen. So we're not talking about like massive screens here. We're talking yay big, but many, maybe 30, 40, 50 people will surround this to watch. And that's what they did. But soon, I was even told that they used to charge with batteries, like car batteries. Yeah, in the past, they had to go through so much suffering to watch TV. They had to charge car batteries and plug the car batteries in to watch TV or to watch a movie. Now, why? Why is it that we have this great need? Or we used to, at least. The thing is, we say we used to, because nowadays, most of you may not now watch TV shows and movies. However, our minds still like stories. So you can tell me and say, sorry, Nanza, I haven't watched a movie in X years, in 3 months. However, if somehow a series of scenes were to play in front of you, our mind still has an attraction towards it. Because why? It gives us a story. You see, it's the mind's ability to make stories or to connect stories that keeps it bound to samsara. So, if you think about it, why is it that we like watching movies, or why is it that we like watching films or TV shows or whatnot? It's because we like stories. You can say, well, there are some films I don't like watching, some films I do like watching, but yet no matter what film you like or don't like, so some of you like action, some of you like romance, some of you like horror, some of you like humor, comedy. No matter what, there's always a story that goes under this. And it's that story that we attach ourselves to. The better the story, the better the movie. So if we looked at the theory of film theory, we always get the same sort of backbone. What is that? In every film, who do we have? Every film has a main character or characters. Now, think about this. When a film has a main character or characters, what sort of things, what sort of attributes, or what sort of personalities does that main character have? They're usually good. They're usually humorous. They've got comedy. They usually have something that we like, or better, they have personality traits that you also have. Now, this is why it's very interesting. The reason why they do all this is for you to do what? Is for you to do what? To like the main character. However, there's a bit more. They want you to become the main character. Is that not how it works? They want you to become the main character. They want you to be the main character here. So whatever's happening, they want it to feel as though it's happening to who? To you. So there is something called escapism. Where a person would watch a movie or do several things to escape from reality. Which means when they're watching a movie, they are no longer in their reality. So we all know, right? We used to watch movies when? I'll tell you when I used to watch movies. On the brink of an exam, when I'm too stressed. I've got an exam next week, got so much to study, right? Too much in my head. What do? I did two things. I had two escapes. Number one, it would be sleep. Number two, turn on the TV, pick up the phone. Why? Because once you do that, you are no longer in your reality. You transform it into a completely different story. You become the main character, or either you become the main character or you become the ghost of the main character. What I mean is, when films play, you're always on the point of view of the main character. Which means it's as if it's happening to you. Someone's saying something to the main character, but it feels as though it's saying to who? To you. That's why when they shout at the main character, what do you feel? I mean, they're shouting at someone completely random. If say it's not a famous actor, you've probably never seen this actor before. But when in the film, if that person's the main character and they're being shouted at, we become angry. Why? Because we feel as though either we are them or they are someone that's like me. Both of them pretty similar. Now, we become the main character, or we become someone like the main character. And so whatever happens in the film, it feels as though it's happening to us. Something I think you may all be able to relate to is, once you watch a good movie, it takes you a while to adjust back into reality. I remember, when I used to watch movies, either on a phone or a laptop on a small screen, after I come out of watching the movies, everything looks bigger. I would used to stare at my hands saying that these are massive. Why is everything so big? Because why? In the 1.5, 2 hour period, I was living where? In this small screen. You see, we say this is me, this is I. However, when we watch a movie, I becomes in the film. So we have that. And every movie has its problems. Now, that is the most key part of the film. I remember, so I have two sisters, and I remember when my little sister was very little. This is when Frozen came out. It was the most tragic time of my life. Why? She would always be like, "Anne, let's watch some Frozen." And she was so small that she would refuse to eat unless he was playing. She had two favorites. She had Frozen and there was another one called, I think it was Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. She couldn't eat dinner if either one of these two weren't playing. She refused to eat, and she was literally, I think, 2, 3, 4 years old. So, and Tata would be like, okay, we're putting this on today. So trust me, I think still I can remember every single dialogue that plays in both of these movies. But I remember the first day we watched it, of course, everyone enjoyed it, right? It's amazing. Second time, you know what happens, but still it has, it's enjoyable. But trust me, when you watch it 100, 200 times, it becomes horror. So because she was so young, something that I used to do is whenever it came to a scene that I don't like, so if you all have watched Frozen, which I have assumed, there are some scenes where, it's horrible. This happens, there's this betrayal, there are monsters and all this stuff. I used to skip it. Nangi had no idea. She was too small to realize that, scenes have been skipped. But I knew, and my other Nangi also knew. Other sister also knew. However, when we skipped it, and we watched, so if you skip all the bad parts, you only have probably half an hour of the movie. Good. However, the film gives you no interest whatsoever. It becomes extremely boring. Because why? What do films have to have? It has to have some sort of issue, some sort of problem. Without the problem, what is a film? What is a film without these problems? Because why? What happens when these problems occur? Who is facing these problems? You are. Let's see if I can remember. There's a massive snowstorm in Arendelle, right? Arendelle is where? Your place. In your kingdom. Oh no, what are we going to do? Again, a problem that you face. And so you start to stress about this. You start to, vexation starts to occur. And you vex and vex and vex and vex. And then what happens? Then throughout the film, the problem is relieved. See, to prove it to you that, it's problems it's problems that make us want to watch films. Is that, let's say, a completely new movie comes out, right? Somehow it has your favorite actor and actresses in. I don't know, whoever your favorite is, somehow they are also in this film. But it's a very, very, nice film, right? All there is, it's a family. The family wakes up in the morning, right? They have their breakfast. Parents go to work. Children go to school. And then children come home. Parents come home. They have dinner. They all fall asleep. The end. Would you want to watch that? But they have your favorite actors in it. They have Dwayne Johnson in it. They have all these great, so they've got Salman Khan in it as well. But would you want to watch that? No. How much would you pay to watch it? 0, because why? What does it not have? An issue. So people want to watch a movie. For what? For what? So they can feel as though they're in it. They can experience a different reality, and then they can face a problem, and then throughout the film, what happens? The problem is relieved. And we know when pressure or vexation is relieved, what do we feel? Pleasure. But yet we feel that the pleasure comes from what? The movie. The pleasure comes from what? This story. And so you go around saying, I did this, I watched this, and, I had this story, and it was an amazing story, which is doing what? Giving people this idea that, this story, these stories are amazing, are very pleasurable. You see, we love this idea of stories. Okay. If this is so, if pleasure comes from problem and the problem being solved, right? So this is a question that I actually had. It's a very good question, a very legitimate question. People like to be happy. I agree with that. But there are people in this world that like what? Being scared. No? I had this massive question. Growing up, I used to hate horror films. For good reasons, because I like sleeping. Yes. I had a question, why do people like watching horror films then? When I used to ask, they say, it's a thrill of being scared. People enjoy the sense of fear. Is it? Do we enjoy being scared? Do we enjoy being scared? If so, right, whenever you're crossing the road and a car runs just in front of you, do you enjoy that? Do you think, wow, I want to do that again? Or, I don't know, you fall down and somehow you save yourself from falling off a massive cliff. Somehow you save yourself and you were so scared, but do you think, what, I want to do that again? Simply put, let's take one that they put in these stories. Let's say you're at home by yourself. You're at home by yourself, but unfortunately, when at 12 midnight, when the clock strikes 12, stuff start to happen. I don't know, let's say in Sri Lanka it's normal, but power cuts happen. It's a power cut. We're okay with it because we're in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka power cuts are very common. So we take out our phones or lights or whatever and we go around and, suddenly say something falls down. Okay, it's okay. You take the torch and you see something somewhere, but it shouldn't be there. You start hearing sounds, hearing voices. Would you want to be there? Do you want to be scared? But yet people would like to watch horror films. Why? Why? Why do people like to watch horror films? If no one likes to be scared, why horror films then? It's because of what? Pressure or vexation? And then the relief. Relief from what? Relief from the fact that it's not happening to who? You. Because when you're watching a movie, where are you? You're in the movie. So everything that's happening is happening to who? You. But when it becomes too much, you realize your mind wants to find an escape. Right? Whenever your mind is under pressure, the pressure is trying to be relieved somehow. So it comes to this idea that, it's not happening to me. It's happening to everyone else but me. It's happening in the movie, but not me. And that gives it this feeling of safety. And it thinks, I'm safe. And that safety relieves this pressure to a certain extent. And you say, wow, I felt such a thrill by watching a horror movie. That's why the worst thing a horror film can do is what? What's the worst thing a horror film can do? Just before the credits. Just before they roll the credits. Put what? Based on a true story. Because why now? Are you safe now? It's happened there. So where else can it happen? Happen here. I don't know, there could be a ghost that, haunts me for the rest of my life, in my life as well. Because why? It's happened there, it can happen here. And then fear again builds up. So again, why do we watch these films? For problems, or for this vexation to increase and then decrease. So you're basically paying for what? You're basically paying for what? Pressure. The relief of pressure. Well, actually, you don't pay for the relief. You just pay for the pressure. It's almost like you're paying for pain here. How much would you pay to get an arbitrary value of 10 pain? Would you pay for pain? Would you ever pay for pain? No, but you do. By doing this, by watching movies, you are. But yet, this is what happens in our lives. This is what happens in our day-to-day lives as well. So, a film is something that gives us pressure and then relieves it. And we feel pleasure and then we want more of it. Is watching one film enough? Because it's always like a gamble, isn't it? Because why? You are doing something in hope of getting something else. If you receive it, great. If you don't receive it, what happens? You think what? I'll get it next time. I'll get it next time. For example, you know when you watch a TV show, at the end of the TV show, what do? Do they end it with a full stop? They either end it on a cliffhanger or else they say, next week. And they play a small part of it. Why? Why do they do that? To keep you hooked. Now you're waiting. Okay, it's coming on Friday. Friday at 3 o'clock. It's Friday at 2 o'clock. Come on. Another hour. You turn on the kettle to make a tea. Still, you got another half an hour left. Now you're waiting because why? They want you to feel the max amount of vexation for you to be relieved. Now, I do know, I'm talking to a group of people who probably haven't watched a film in, a long time. Because why? You all see the essenceless nature of it. But however, your mind still does not see the essenceless nature of the stories. You may not go out your way to watch movies anymore, but you still remember stories. Sometimes you still may find these stories to give pleasure. Well, no matter what, whether you see these, even though you may not watch these movies, if these stories still give you pleasure, that means if something gives you pleasure, what are you feeling? If something gives you pleasure, what were you feeling before? Or what are you feeling now? An abundance of what? Vexation. You are feeling more and more vexation. That's why stories can still bring you pleasure. But there's one film that you still watch. There's one film that you still watch. You say you don't watch films, but I disagree. There's one film that you still watch. To this day, you are still watching. Because that gives you the most amount of joy. That gives you the max amount of joy. What's that? What film is that? The film of? Film of Játi. Think about this. Don't you feel as though you are a director of a movie? The movie of life. This is why when something comes to you, you have a script. You have a script to read. Okay. If you are a mother, and your child comes up, Which script are you reading? You're reading the script of what? The mother, and and you're telling the child to read the script of what? Of a child. So that's why you go and you say, "Ane putain, have you eaten? Right? Are you okay?" Right? You stroke them, and if they make some mistake, you can become angry because why? It's your child that's done this mistake, and the child has to read their script. Okay, on the child script, it has honesty. On the child script, it has what? Obedience. Now, who has that script with them? I have that script. Do they have that script? They don't even know that you are expecting them to play the role of child. They are reading from their script. Their script of a child and your script of a child, are they the same? Something that you'll find out, that you realize is, as generations go, people have different expectations of different things. So if you ask, when I asked my grandparents long ago, like, what are their ideas of a perfect child? So Amma had asked me to ask Archie, right? Like, what is a good child? Why? Because Amma wants me to become a good child. So I asked Archie, and Archie would give me an image of a good child back in her time. Then one day, like, I had to ask one of my aunts, like, "Auntie, like, what is a good child?" And now the auntie will give a description, the same as Archie, same as my grandmother, similar but different. So, for example, my grandmother would say, you have to help, right? You have to, whenever your dad is doing some sort of work, you have to go and help them do this work. You should learn the skills that he has, right? If he knows carpentry, don't worry, Játi doesn't know carpentry. My dad doesn't know carpentry. But if he does know carpentry, learn that from him, learn the skill so you can take on his job. Then you ask my aunt, and aunt will be like, no, you have to, be obedient, right? You have to listen to what they say. Then if you ask someone, say a friend of yours, how to be a good child, they'll say, okay, you have to be obedient, but if your parents tell you to do something wrong, don't do it. So these are three different things for three different generations. If I asked each and every one of you, how can you be a good... If I asked each and every one of you, what is the script like? The script of a Sita Shravika is like. Sita Shravika is like. An Anagarika, a monk is like. Do you think we all have the same script? Do we all have the same script? What is it like to be a devotee? What is it like to be what is it like to be whatever? Do you think we shared the same script? You can take it as Shira Shravika or Shavika, right? Either way. On your script, what do you have? I have to wake up at X time. I have to be at the monastery at Y. I have to do this, I have to do that, and when people come to me, they have to be very respectful. And so this is not being... I'm not trying to say that this is a very... Just remember, this is all based on Játi as well, right? This script is what Játi says. So Játi also wants the respect, right? Játi also wants people to comply with what you say, right? So you have... Let's change this. This could be Anagarika or Nagarika. It could be... This is just monks. And then you have devotee. So in our monastery, this is pretty much our entire monastery. We have, I don't think, is there anything else I have to add in here in this list? No, this is pretty much our monastery. So we all have a script we want to play. We all have our own script. For example, we all have one that has, very simply, let's change. That's one of our scripts. Is it not? What happens if, what happens if you go past someone and you forget to say Teruvan Sannai? We feel as though there's like a massive hole, like there's something wrong. Now, what happens if you go say Teruvan Sannai to one of your fellow people and they don't say Teruvan Sannai back? Follow the script. You have to follow the script, because why? You have to follow the script, or else this film's not going to work. Cut. Retake. Okay, lights, camera, action. Teruvan Sannai. And your turn. Teruvan Sannai. Oh, okay, good. Because why? We have a script that we want to play. Each script will change according to person. So, for example, if a new devotee comes in, you go and say Teruvan Sannai, and instead of them saying Teruvan Sannai, they said Buddhu Saranai. Same thing, right? Similar things, right? One of them is 3, one of them is just the Buddha, right? The Noble Triple Gem and may the Buddha bless you. Same thing. However, in here, cut. Let's retake. Okay, lights, camera, action. Teruvan Sannai, Buddhu Saranai. Teruvan Sannai, Buddhu Saranai. No. You see, sir, madam, in our monastery. Now you're explaining to them your script. In our monastery, when someone says Teruvan Sannai, you have to say Teruvan Sannai. Someone may have to say it, or else, because we have to get this script right. We are always looking for things to change. So, for example, if everyone here starts saying this, for example, if everyone here, for some reason, I don't know, whenever they say Teruvan Sannai, they wave. If everyone does that, you change your script to be right. Because why? You want the perfect script here. You want the absolute most perfect script you can ever get. So if someone says something and it doesn't match your script, you don't feel that to be right. And here's the thing, you have almost an index of scripts as well. You have a complete index of scripts. For example, when you meet your parents, you pull out the script of what? Child. You pull out the script of child and you say, okay, so you see Amma, you pull out the script of the child, and you see, okay, when I see Amma, I have to go and worship her. Because of why? That's in your script. Now, here's the thing. This is part of this is to do with memory and views and whatnot. But I'm more talking about this idea that this must happen. I'm talking about this idea that, these scripts have to happen. That, if I am a monk, this has to happen. If this doesn't happen, something's not right. Something doesn't feel right. So if I am looking at a child, I pull out the script of mother. Now, this is not something that when we pull out the script of mother, we also give a script to the other person. We give them the script of what? Child. So we take the script of mother and we give them the script of child, and we start reading the script out. Teruwan saranai puta. Teruwan saranai amma. How was your day today? It was good, amma. Did you clean your room? Yes, amma. Did you have lunch? No, amma. Huh? Did you have lunch? No, amma. No, 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 no. Our scripts? No, no, no. Read what's on your script. Have you had lunch? No. Okay, let me change that. As in, yes, responsibility-wise, again, don't take this not to be a responsibility. Yes, it's your responsibility to feed your children. Please do. Right? I don't want anyone to, from today onwards, not feed. Right? Feed your children. But if you feel something is off, or if you feel a sense of, something's not right here, that's because of what? Scripts are not matching. Now, who creates a script? Játi. Játi creates a script thinking that this is how it's supposed to go. For example, before something happens. Here's a good example. Your teacher has given you a message to come meet you as soon as possible, right? Let's do this, right? Your teacher comes to you and says, Mahatya, I need to meet you very quickly, I need to meet you very quickly. I have a complaint, but right now I have this meeting. I'll be done in about an hour and a half. In that hour and a half, what are you thinking? Now you're creating a script. This is something that this happens here as well. This used to happen here. Now I create a script. Okay, what have I done wrong? Was it X? Was it Y? Was it Z? Okay, if it was X, what should I say? I did this. I did that because of this. I did that. You start creating this script, hoping that, this is how it's going to play out. You're creating this idea that this is how it's going to play out. That, he's going to ask me, like, why did you do this? And I'm going to say this, and so he can say this, and I'm going to be safe. You're making the script so you can feel this feeling of safety, that, nothing's going to happen. But you create this script because why? Játi wants to feel safe. I remember, I usually, before, say, this used to happen before it happens when you have Játi, right, with ignorance. I remember I would try to play out a conversation before the conversation happened. I don't know if you've ever done this. Like, before you meet someone, you have a conversation, you try to imagine the conversation before it happens, so you are so-called prepared. This is Játi doing what? Making a script. Why? Because why? It wants the best outcome. Best outcome for what? For itself. For its preservation. That's why in the script, sometimes it will lie. It will deceive. It will manipulate. Why? I didn't do anything wrong. Now, it's not always when you do something wrong. It could be with anyone. You are to meet your teacher and to do something. If you have to plan out meaning plan out the conversation, not what you're going to say or what sort of questions you're going to ask. But if you're trying to plan out what you're going to say and what do you think their reply is going to be, that's because of what? Script. So do you have to play by the script? Játi wants this script to play out perfectly. Okay, so today, right, after the discussion, right, after the sermon, you have to go and you have the Buddha Puja. Now, on your script, you have Buddha Puja. Somehow, our Anagarika Matas have, forgotten. It doesn't happen, does it? They have forgotten. And it was delayed by half an hour. If you feel something to be off, like, this is not right. Again, this is not talking about system here. In the system, it's not right, and so you have to do something about that. But if you feel that, if you have this feeling of vexation, or this pressure build up inside of you, that's because why? The script wasn't playing. Even when you are angry, you have a script. That's why different people will behave differently when they're angry. I remember I was able to watch back at school of two people having a massive argument. Now looking back at it, they both had scripts. One had, yell, scream, swear script. The other person, literally, I think his script was like blank. His face, he had a very angry face, but his worded script was blank. Scripts didn't match. Now what happens? Now the person with the script of, screaming, shouting, tries to scream and shout a bit more to compensate the script, but not working, and then somehow the issue just dissolved. Because why? We want these to match. Because remember, you have an index. So whenever something happens, you pull out a script, a certain script. When you're at the monastery, you pull out one script. When you're at home, you pull out another script. When you're in the shop, you become the customer. You pull out the customer script. When you're at the restaurant, you become the orderer's script. That's why you learn, when you're at the restaurant, what do you do? When you want something, you call the waiter or waitresses, right? And you ask. Because why? You have a certain script. If it doesn't go to the way the way you plan, then this restaurant is terrible. It's got terrible service. Don't like it. Not gonna come back here ever again. Because why? It's not fitting our script. It's not fitting our script. You see, we are our own directors of our movie. Movie of what? Of life. We want to direct it to go the way that we want it to go. Or Játi, or the sense of self wants it to go. The self wants it to go a certain way. And so it would direct it and say, no, this has to happen, that has to happen. Why is this not happening? Why is that not happening? And when the script isn't going well, now you feel, there's this massive pressure built up inside of you. This amount of vexation built up inside of you. And so when it doesn't happen, you become angry, frustrated, sad, upset, etc., etc., etc. What we have to do is we have to remove these scripts. We have to literally burn the script file. Meaning, we should be able, in the film of life, instead of being the director, we have to be what? The actors. Why? Because what does the director do? Cut. Okay, go back, do this, do that, do this. What does the actor do? Director, do you want me to retake that shot? Fine, I'll do it. Director, do you not want me anymore? Do you want this person now? Okay. We have to change from the director, or the script writer and director, to just the actors. And then from the actors to anyone on set. Whatever is required of me, be that so. Let that be. If they require me to be, okay, you're giving the task to plan for the next Katina, right? We're giving the next Katina to the Sila Shravikas and Shravikas, the Sila Huasis. We forgot them. That's the H. Right. Right. We're giving the task to plan it to them. Now you have a role, and so you have to, when you are required, you will plan it out and you will see if, okay, why is this not going to plan? What can I do to change it? But if you're the director, you'll be cut, retake. Think about it. It's because we are the director. Do we, in our lives, do we regret things that we've done wrong in the past? That's why we regret, because why? We think, I shouldn't have done like this. The script was this didn't happen the way I wanted to happen. Why did it not? You see, when we punish children for their mistakes, normally we punish them because of the script. Why? They're supposed to be doing this, they're not doing this, and so we punish them. However, that's not why we should punish. If you look in your past, and if you look at why you were told off or why you were, scolded or whatever, it's always because of something that you have done, right? And so we've always thought that I've done something wrong, therefore, I was punished for that. In schools, I was shouting in the back, so the teacher shouted at me for an action that I have done. However, what is the point of that? What is the point of being punished for something that you have done? Because why? It's a really good point. If you can't change the past, why should we worry about what has happened? If we can't change the past, why should we worry about what happened? Because once the film is recorded, unfortunately, we can't cut and replay and then re-put together. Because why? Unfortunately, we only have one camera, our two eyes. Unfortunately, we can't cut and replace and do anything. We can only play this once. But once it's played, why should we punish someone, or why should we tell someone off for something they have done? It's already gone. You can't cut it out and replace it with something else. So let's say a child, let's say one of our 18 minuses. One of our 18 minuses does something terrible, right? Let's say they didn't clean their bed in the morning. Terrible, horrible, right? And so what do? We should all scold them, right? Okay, every one of us, we should scold them. Because that's almost like 30 of us in the room. If 30 of us scold them, he's going to change, right? He's going to be regretted. He's going to be really sad, right? So we should do that, right? No, we should tell off for what? Why should we? So the script, they didn't do what's on the script. Agreed. Or they didn't do what they weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing. Agreed. We should say something in order for what? In order for them to not do it again. Does that mean you have to go and shout at them? It could. Does that mean that you should, strongly give them strong advice? It could. Or it could be simply, you should keep, puta, you should keep your beds clean, right? I would like you to have this grid and tick a box every time you clean it. Because now what? Are they going to redo it now? They could. You tell them to do. Every day they clean their bed in the morning to take a box. Now you say, do you shout at this? No, you say, Buddha, why weren't you able to? Or you may even not even care about this, because why? After it, they were doing it. But if you were someone who had to have the script playing, one day, what happened to this one day? Huh? Did you wake up late? Or I don't know. Were your arms not working? Why couldn't you make your bed? No, we want to be what? The script is all Játi. If you really think about this, right? You know, have you all heard of frame rates? Frame rates? How a camera can record at, say, 80 frames per second. So, you can almost think of it like this. A camera can only record one picture a second. When you're younger, have you ever you made those flip books? Yeah. Of course, the younger ones among us probably have done this. Right? It's when you get a book and I remember I used to do this. On the corner of your book, you start drawing a ball, right? The next page, you make it ball go a bit down and a bit more down and become bigger, smaller, go left, right, up, down, and become human, and then become animal, and then become human again. And all in every page, you just have one image. So on page 1, you have like this, then you go this, and then 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 it comes this, and then it becomes this, and then it does this, and then next one it has this, and next one it has this. And you take it and you flip it all together, and then you see this ball that jumps, becomes bigger, and then becomes human. Now, in our film, this is what happens. We have frame 1, frame 2, frame 3, frame 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. However, because the mind is always in search of what? Of what? It's always in search of something that is fixed. Because why? What is ignorance? This idea that something is fixed and something is separated, that something can be separated. So because of that, the mind is always looking for it. And because we all know, right, that ignorance, attachment, vexation, insanity gives rise to Játi. What Játi does is almost as though it flips its book. And when it flips its book, it sees what? The bull becomes human. And if you flip it backwards, the human becomes a bull. But if you really looked at what is happening every single moment, is that, in the film of life, is there an actual film playing out here? In the film of life, is there an actual film playing out? Is there a film playing out? Of course there is, isn't it? This film, this entire movie you're seeing. Actually, all you have is just one frame at a time. It is one frame at a time. So when you see this black pen, that's at one moment you only see one frame. Next moment, you see another frame. So this is, again, simplifying this to an extreme level, because you don't see a frame at a time. Your eyes don't see one picture at a time. Your eyes can only receive one light photon at a time. But what became it very simple, one frame at a time. Frame A, frame B, frame C, frame D, frame E, frame F, and But what Játi does, what an ignorance-fueled mind does, it says, okay, the pen was this, like this, and it moved and it wrote this. What we have to understand is, yes, there was something that has happened, but it was all just one moment at a time. That actually what has happened is, one frame has gone, the next frame has gone, the next frame has gone, and is now writing. But what does ignorance do? Ignorance says, no. Something, there has to be a story in this. What is the story? The ball became human. The human, and then when you flip backwards, the human became a ball. But what we have to realize is, no. That everything around us is just one moment at a time. Now, here's the thing. Don't come with the don't come up with the idea that, this is for 1 second, this is for another second, this is for another second, another second. There's no, because again, Játi loves stories, right? We give this a time difference. That, there's a time difference between all this. If you want to give it some time, some sort of time, this is the time it takes for one mind to arise and pass away, for another next mind to arise and pass away. If you want to put time, but in reality, there is no... In reality, there's no time involved here. It's that once this has arisen and it passes away, this has arisen. And it passes away, and then this has arisen. You can connect the dots and say, this was playing for 2 seconds. You can connect the dots, but are the dots connected? They are all very momentary things. All of them are very discrete. Each and every frame here is discrete. However, you feel what? It to be a continuous. You feel it to be continuous. Because of what? Ignorance. Because of what? This idea that everything here is fixed. Everything here is separate. You have a fixed drawing, a fixed pen, a fixed and separate duster. You have everything around you is fixed and separate. However, is it? Again, that's part of the script. That's part of the script. The script can only be based on what? Fixed. Imagine you had a massive box. A massive box of ants. A massive box of ants. Right? Can you direct the ants to play a movie? Can you direct the ants and say, okay, every ant on the left-hand side, we want ant A and B to be on the right-hand side. Can you direct the ants? No, because why? They are always moving. These ants are always going here and there. However, so the script can only be placed where? When there's something fixed there. So in this example, the ants aren't in a fixed location. They aren't doing anything. You can take the ants to be fixed, but if you come out of that, these ants are going here and there. These ants are going left, right, up, down, climbing up the walls of these boxes and all this, but they're not doing anything that you want. So the script can only be on this idea of fixedness. This script can only be on this idea that there are separate people out there. So to get rid of this script, what do we have to first do? Number one, the first thing we have to do is get rid of this. Get rid of the idea that I am a what? I am, whatever your answer is there after that sentence, whatever answer came into your head, I am. You have to get rid of that. That is the issue. Then you're left with the script. Without actors, can you have a movie without actors? This automatically disappears. When you realize that, okay, what is it that, okay, what character am I playing today? What character am I supposed to be? What character am I supposed to be today? If you realize that there's no character here, now you can't have the movie. If you don't have the movie, if you don't have the characters, you don't have the script. If you don't have a script, you don't have the movie. If you don't have the movie, then whether someone says Teruvan Sannai or if someone says Teruvan Sannai or someone says TS, does it matter now? Does it matter now? No. Whether they said Teruvan Sannai, whether they walked in again, right? Whether they walked in a straight line or not, that shouldn't be an issue here. But in the system, there's an issue there, right? Because why? The system requires what? There are system requirements, right? So, for example, if you, I don't know, walk like a crab, right? Going sideways, then systematically, in the system, that's wrong. So, according to the system, again, we're talking about two things here. So don't get this muddled up. These two things, don't get this muddled up. So yes, as a whoever, there are certain things that you have to do. But if you think that this is the script that has to play out, that is what's wrong. So for example, I don't know, I think in Sri Lanka and many other countries, I don't know, maybe most countries, as you grow up, right, you're taught how to write, right? So you're supposed to hold your pen like this, right? And your parents show you this to you and they write it. I remember I was able to volunteer at a Monty or a nursery in the UK, and I've seen a child write like this. Very neatly. Surprisingly, very neatly. But like this. In my script, is that how it works? No. Writing, Amma and Tata has always told us, right? You have to hold the pen with these two fingers, rest it on this, and start writing like this. But that is our script. The script that our Játi has created. So if this is the normal, that's okay. And if that's if the society has accepted it, then that's what we should do. But if something else happens, I have seen the weird and the most wonderful pen holds ever. I've seen this, I can't remember, like this, right? Like this. But if I had a script here and this is how they're supposed to write, now, no. Come here. Hold the pen like this, right? Between the two fingers and rest it on your middle finger, right? And now when they write, like terribly. So what we should do is understand that there is no script at play. That they have their own script. However, if society requires them to hold the pen like this, what should you do? Teach. If society has required you to walk in a straight line, walk. But when you see this, should that give you mental suffering? Should that give you mental vexation? If it does, you're following who? Or you're following what? The script. No. The children have to write like this. I know. Have you seen doctors write? I take great pleasure in reading prescriptions. Because doctors have the best handwriting ever. Only doctors can read doctors' handwritings. So I remember whenever someone came with a prescription, I would take it and I'd be like, okay, this says amoxicillin. This says, I don't know, left leg, I think. But that is their script, or that is the way they write. Is that wrong? If it is wrong, let's go to all the doctors and change their handwriting so it's readable, so we can all read it. Can we do that? No, we can't. So that's the thing. We have to realize is that everything in the world is working to its own script. At that moment, the script is written for that moment only. When the causes come together, they have this. When the causes come together in another way, they have this. Have you not seen people change? Have you not seen people change? If not, you have not lived. I have seen the worst people become the best. Because why? If I had a script saying that they are always the worst, okay, can you expect someone to be a certain way in the monastery? So say someone's a really bad person. Can you expect they'll forever be bad in the monastery? I mean, we had an ordination ceremony a couple of weeks back, right? You remember seeing, for those of you who attended, you've seen those pictures, right? Sometimes I remember when we get to see this in our rehearsals and whatnot, you see the picture and like, who is that? That can't be him. No. It can't be. Because why? In our heads, this is the script that's playing here. That can't be the script. But really, in reality, what happened? There is no script at play here. Causes come together to give that. Causes come together to give this. I think when they make the video, they are very, very cautious on the pictures they choose. Because some pictures they won't be able to put. Because why? If they do, honey, they are like this as well? They're like this and this and this as well? So I think they're very picky with the pictures they pick. So it's not too traumatic for you guys. Right? For every watch it, for the people who watch it. Because why? Because if we follow that script, then we say, then that person still is like this then. Or that person's still like this. No, because scripts are a creation of your mind. The script is a creation of your mind. You create the script. We have to stop script making. We have to stop directing and let the film play. And let the film play. Stop directing and let the film play. Whatever it plays, let it play. If you go around directing, now what? Can you enjoy the film? I remember in school one day we had to learn, and I think in our school, in the monastery school as well, I think some of our children had to learn a bit of animation, and I was there looking and overviewing this as well. Do you all remember watching like cartoons like Tom and Jerry? And these classical cartoons back in the past. I remember when they were learning this, the teacher had explained, saying that for them to make a half an hour video, half an hour, TV episode, do you know how long it takes? Do you know how long it takes to make half an hour? It takes 4 to 5 months. Now, if you think about this, if you were the director, now you look at this and you say, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, why does this happen? But if you're just the viewer, you can appreciate it for what it is. You can appreciate life for what it is. If you're the director, now what? No, that can't happen. No, change. Stop doing this, stop doing that. But if you're the viewer, let it be. You can enjoy life for what it is. Because life is nature. Let nature be. Let nature do its thing. Society-wise, change what can be changed, but because if you realize that, change is also cause and effect. Now, when you change something, are you expecting it? Do you have a script? So, when I advise this person to do this, they are going to change on the spot. Do you think that? If you realize that everything is cause and effect, do you have in your script, do you have that it's supposed to be like this? Say one person says TS instead of Teruvan Sarnai, right? And in the monastery, everyone is supposed to say Teruvan Sarnai, let's say. Now, when it comes to this, if in your script you have written that no, I'm going to tell them to say Teruvan Saranai, right? You have to say Teruvan Saranai. But in my script, they're going to accept it, and from that moment forth, they are always going to say what? Teruvan Saranai. Because that is the script that we write. Because why? We still see it to be fixed. Get rid of the fixed feeling and replace it with anicca. Replace it with cause and effect. Now what do you have? You tell them once, doesn't work. Tell them again, doesn't work. Tell them 3 times, doesn't work. Tell them 4, 5, 6 times, doesn't work. Are you mentally suffering now? Are you under mental vexation now? If you realize that the script is part of you, that the world works to cause and effect. See, to get rid of the script, we have to understand who is at play here. See, a mother is only a mother when what? When what? When they perceive a child, then they become mother. Or before that, are they the mother? But mothers out there, right? Only when I say the word mother do you remember, I have a child. If you don't remember them, are you a mother? No. This is why you have a patkara. So everyone has most of you have a praying mat on your shoulder. Why? It's to continuously remind you, is it not? No. I don't think I don't think you're allowed to pin the prayer mat on your shoulder. Do you? No, right? It's supposed to fall off. Why? Why is it supposed to fall off? Because why? We like annoying you, right? We enjoy putting you under so much suffering. So therefore, please, we make sure the fabric make sure the fabric is something that falls off, right? No, because every time it falls off, when you put it back on, what do you remember? I am? Oh, it's not on here anymore. I am those. Let's see, the Shravaka, Shravika, Vasi, Anagarika, Anagarika, even our monks. Yeah. That's why they have this. For example, a child will only know it's a child when what? When presented to an adult, when they perceive an adult. That's why when children come together, they can do very good and very bad things. Because why? They when they come together, they don't feel as though they're children. They don't feel that they're children. They feel as though what? They are, I don't know, planning something. Simply put, if you were to think about this, you are only, you pull out the script only when you perceive the other end. Because if you're the only person in this world, now who are you? Which script are you going to pull out? You're going to have to pull out the survival script. Not the mother, not the friend, not the brother, not the teacher, the student, the anagarika, silashravaka, shravika, vasi, etc., etc., etc. The only thing you'll have to pull out is what? The survival script. Because if there's no one around you, you can't pull out any other. However, if the mind wants, right? If the mind has this feeling that, I want to pull out this script out. That's why, when some people, when they're abandoned or they're in a shipwreck and they're in a island somewhere in the middle of nowhere, they'll pretend to have, they'll put dolls together and they say, this is my friend James, this is Bob, right? We're best friends. We do everything together to inanimate objects. Because why? They want something. They want to pull out what? Friend. They'll say, oh, this is. They'll take another doll, or they use the head of a pumpkin, the body of a tree trunk, and 2 legs and 2 arms, and say, this is my wife. Because why? They want to pull out what? The script of what? Husband. But you see, you need something to help you pull this out. Because Játi needs something. For example, so if you think about this, right? When you perceive the other person, depending on who they are, you pull out a different script. For example, Guru Handru enters the room. Now, what script do you pull out? The most obedient person you can ever be. I don't know, a small baby runs in. Now, what script do you pull out? The responsible adult. Dua, no, don't run. Go back to Amma. Why? Because you pull out that script. Have you? Because if you realize that this is a script pulling business, every time you're outside, right, or every time you are aware, you can see these scripts being pulled out by yourself and by the people around you. So, for example, a young boy sees a young girl, pulls out the script. I'm a male. You've all seen this, right? When a person, a young male sees a young female, right? They act differently. I remember this very vividly. Whenever we went through town with some friends, right? Whenever we used to pass a group of people, I don't know, some of my friends would change their personality completely. As in, they will be so unrecognizable at that point. I'd be like, what happened? They'd be like, nothing. Opposite side as well. When I used to go, when there's a, say, a group of males, when I was with my other friends, they will now act differently. Why? Because they pull out their script. They look at their script and says, I should be in this sort of way. That's why these scripts update according to what? According to the views you take. That's why things like social media is very, very, very harmful. Because why? Scripts update. Social media is a topic for another time. I can go on and on about social media because it is a tool that was created to put people to bring people together, but now it's a tool for destruction. More than help, it's a tool for destruction. But because why? Because what is it giving? Views. Views and views and more views. Giving them ways to update their script. Saying that, oh, I should be like this, I should be like that, let me be like this, let me be like that. Let me try this out, let me try this out. Let me give you another example. How many of you know what bubble tea is? Hands up if you know what bubble tea is. So those of you who do, and there's some of you who don't. I can tell you, I remember lots of people used to talk about this, right? Bubble tea is amazing, right? If I was to explain it to those of you who never had bubble tea, imagine having milk tea cool down and with like very, very chewy like balls. They call it pearls, right? I don't know how do you describe it. Very, very chewy pearls or balls that with this tea, right? That's what it is. However, I remember lots of people used to talk about this, right? And it used to be, I think it still is, probably a massive thing outside. You see, they were able to create the script so well that children today have made the connection. If I am studying, I must have what? Bubble tea. So whenever they pull out the script of what? Studying, the first thing on their list is what? Bubble tea. So I know lots and lots of people who spend, I have no idea, lots of money. Because every time they study, they must have what? Bubble tea. Right. Bubble tea is, again, another topic for another time, because they have done such a great job. Such a great job. It's definitely topic for another time. Because why? Because this is all these scripts at play here. When you see the color red, what is the first soft drink that comes to mind? When you see the color red, what is the first soft drink that comes to mind? Soft drink. Go on. What's the first drink that comes to mind? You see the color red. What's the first soft drink that comes to mind? Well, most people will say Coca-Cola. Because now they have made it so when you pull out, I am seeing red, the feeling that happens is, Coca-Cola. That's why some like restaurants will have like walls painted red. So whenever you see it, you remember Coca-Cola and you're like, I have to order this as well. And they've done such an amazing job to be able to put things in your script. This is what has to happen. For example, you're watching a movie, you must have what? Popcorn. Where does that even come from? I mean, because why? Put in the script. So if you're watching a movie without popcorn, this is not the right experience. To get the full experience, you have to be there with popcorn. So again, if you can put anything in the script, that's how it happens. And you need something to trigger it. So like I said, the patkada is why does the patkada always fall down? For us to annoy you. For us to remember. To pull out the script of what? I'm in the monastery to do what? To practice the path. So whenever you're talking amongst, say, a group of other people and your patkada falls off, put the patkada on very consciously. Why am I putting it on? So I remember what? I am what? I am. Now you all saw my robe is not sticking on me today. Perfect. Why? Every time it falls off, what does it remind me? You get this a lot, especially when the new ordained monks, like at the beginning, a lot of them complain and say like, it falls off. What's the correct way of wearing it? How is it on you all the time and not falling off? And like the thing that we always say is, it's a good thing it falls off. We want it to fall off. Why? So we remember. We can pull out the right card here if we are conscious again. So what is the card at play here? What is the card that's playing here? Well, depending on we have to pull out these cards, and these cards have its own these scripts basically. So what we have to do is we have to understand that these scripts should go. Burn your scripts. Now, please keep the society script, right? Please. So that doesn't mean tomorrow, right, when you come in your uniform, to not come in uniform. Please do. Society script. That's a script that you keep in a frame, stuck on a wall, right? Don't lose that one. But every other script, the idea that these scripts have to go as it is, remove those. Remove those. Get rid of all of those, the scripts that this has to happen in this way, it must happen in that way. Get rid of those. Become a person who has no script. Society script still there. Please remember that. Society script is always there. Right? But they don't have a specific role. So for example, someone comes up to you and instead of saying Mahatya, Mahatmi, they said, Oi, come here. You should be able to not feel hurt. Let's say everyone has so I think even in the Srila Shravikas, you have what's it called? Sangamala or seniority, right? Where you're in a row of seniority. If someone goes and gives something to someone below you before you, as in societies, as in societal aspect, yes, number one should go first and number whatever has to go last. But if someone was to give number 3 something first and then number 2 and then number 1, if you feel hurt, now what? That's because you have a script. You should be able to, okay, I wasn't given first. Normally in the sasana, you normally do things in the order of Sangha. That's how it normally is. And you're saying that not because you're hurt. Because why? Society. Society's script is still there. You should be able to be flexible. Today, your teachers tell you one thing, tomorrow they say something different. I remember this is something that children have a lot. And you probably had when you were children. Mother will say one thing, father will say something different. Yeah? And that is the most annoying thing that can ever happen. Amma says yes, Dad says no. What should I do now? You take one of the most benefit. You get shouted at either way. There's no right answer to the question, right? If you don't do it, you get shouted at. If you do it, you get shouted at. So when you had if you have two teachers, again. So what script do we have to? We should be able to do it without a script. Scriptless. Impromptu. Meaning what is required of you at that moment should be who you are. There's a child. Don't pull out the mother script. Pull out the script that's needed the most. If the situation requires you to be the responsible adult, be the responsible adult. If the environment requires you to be the child, you should be able to be the child. Just think about this. How many of you can actually play with a small child? Or is it, I am 30, 40 years old. How am I supposed to play with a 5-year-old? If that is so, you have a script. If the environment requires you to be the child, you should be the child. If the environment requires you to be if the environment requires you to do something, you should be able to do it, depending on what the environment requires. But if you have a script, the environment requires you to do something, but you have a script. Two clash, problems occur. So burn your scripts. See, this is the best way to understand where your defilements are. Where your defilements are. You can understand this by whenever life comes up, whenever you go through life. Do you feel that something has to go a certain way? And it must go that way. If it doesn't, I feel, there's something wrong here. Again, not through knowledge, but through feeling. So knowledge-wise, if someone's walking differently, you should know through knowledge that that's wrong. But if you feel that, this is wrong, that has to change, I must change it, then there's defilement at play here. So we have to keep at this. Because, if you think about this, our time is very limited. I was talking to one of our monks a couple days back, and he was telling me about one of his uncles. And he was telling me how his uncle used to be a hero in his life. Right? Whenever he needed help, he gave him a job. Whenever he needed money, he gave him money. Whenever he needed anything, his uncle would do whatever he can to do it. He was his favorite uncle. But after a couple years, he ordains, right? And one day his parents have invited him to go for alms at their house, and he goes and he sees his uncle, and he was really happy because why? Someone who's helped him in his life, he finally can give him something back. And he says, "Uncle, in." The uncle just looks away. He's like, "Okay, uncle, come here. Like, I want to tell you something." No reply. And then another relative comes up to the monk, right, and says, Abhihandru, a couple years back, he had an accident, and now both of his ears aren't working. Both of his ears aren't working. I mean, and so when she said that, the uncle came and said, Abhihandru, my ears, I can't hear. I tried wearing those the hearing aids, but they don't work as well. Now, what can the monk do? He was telling me, there's nothing I can do. Absolutely nothing. Going blind is one thing. If you're blind, okay, you will be in a lot of vexation, agreed. But you can hear the Dhamma. You can associate Kalyan Mitras. And you can get rid of that vexation. But losing your hearing? Losing your hearing? Now what? Now all you can do is look and see all these merit activities and give a sadhukara. That's all you can do. So that's all he did. So he came to the uncle and asked the uncle to offer a Natapirikara and gave him his blessings. What did the Sainasa say? He wouldn't be able to hear. Nibbana Paramsukha Sutattva. Do you think the uncle could hear that? No. So you tell me. We can only have so long. If we're not Sotapannas, by the time we lose our hearing. Now, when will you lose your hearing? At what age? 68. 84. What age? What age? You can lose your hearing tomorrow. I mean, that's how bad this is. Your ear is a fine tissue. All that needs to happen is something to go and maybe burst it. So once I got told the story, of course, I went around and started talking to lots of our monks. I have the great fortune of having so many people I can talk to, right? And I was talking to them, and one of them was telling me how one of their relatives just had an ear infection. I mean, ear infections, lost hearing. No. Accidents, okay, we can say are rare. Infections, are they? You see, our time is limited. And let's say, because we can't even be sure, okay, am I a Sotapanna or not? Can we measure that? Does anyone have like a machine that can measure our understanding levels? Even if, say, you were a Sotapanna without the sense of hearing, your journey is so tough. Because why? Because now only you can help yourself. Now, if ever you need help, what do? Oh, teacher, today this happened. Please help me. Teacher, I feel this desire. Help me. And every Saturday, you get to hear an amazing sound by Guru Handru. Imagine that stops as well. How many people have come up to me and said, it's because I come to the monastery every week, or because I listen to these sermons, am I still sane? For every time someone's told me, if I got $1, if I got £1, I had been rich now. Because why? Lots of people tell me that it's because, as I know, I listen to all these sermons. Am I like this? Now imagine one day all that stops. Our time is very limited. Our time is very limited. If you lose your sense of hearing, what are we going to do now? We have to do whatever we can. We have to do whatever we can to do the maximum we possibly can to go further and further and further and further. We have to keep on going more and further on this journey, because the day will come that you will no longer be able to listen to the Dhamma. And then you are your only savior. No one else is there to help you. Attain. Only you can save yourself. I mean, just think about how dangerous this is. This is not including dying. Forget death. I'm just talking about a simple faculty that we need to understand the Buddhist Dhamma. All that has to happen is something very small, and you've lost it. The example that comes to my head is, it's almost as if you're like a spoon in the curry. You're surrounded, submerged in it. But no matter how long you keep the spoon in the curry, will the spoon ever know the taste of it? So, dear ladies and gentlemen, do the maximum you possibly can. Do the maximum you possibly can before you can't anymore. Even if you were to say, so imagine, even if you weren't like 100% deaf, you can still hear a tiny bit. That's good. However, do you think it'll still be easy to understand? Just try to imagine the things I'm saying. Someone saying the same things I'm saying, but screaming at your face. Do you think it's going to be easy to understand? That's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. We have to do this with as much vigor as we possibly can. Practice as much as we possibly can, because one day it will happen to us. You can't guarantee that it's not going to. So just because there's young people among us doesn't mean that's not going to happen to them. We have to practice and get out of this as fast as we possibly can. If not, just like the spoon submerged in curry, in the soup, it will never be able to taste it. Because who knows? Once we depart from this life, we all have this determination that, we want to achieve this. Right? But who knows? Who knows? We have the determination that we want to achieve Nibbana somehow, but who knows next life where we're going to be. We can't guarantee anything. Only thing we can guarantee is the moment that we're living right now. So why waste this moment? Why should we waste this moment? I was talking with some about our devotees, and it's very interesting. She was telling me how much she has practiced. She was telling me, I used to really be, I used to love making things, making foods. Now, I don't feel the need. I'll still make food for other people, not for myself. And I'll say, I used to have lots of things in my house. Now I don't have many things because I don't feel the need for that. What I told her was, good. That's very good. You have changed to become better. However, don't rest on your laurels. Don't stop there. Your journey is not complete. You have more and more and more to do. Get it finished as fast as you possibly can. Get it over and done with. And then you can enjoy life. Then you can enjoy the rest of your life without a script. And that's what I'm telling you. That's what I want to tell you all as well. You have all done amazing accomplishments. You have all changed in amazing ways. But don't stop there. Don't stop there. You have more to do. Finish it. Complete it. End it. End it as fast as you possibly can, so you can enjoy the rest of your life in absolute happiness, in unconditional happiness. Okay. So today we talked about the film, right? The film theory almost. Of scripts, of playwriting, of directors. So get out of making scripts. Understand what is truly happening. And remove your scripts. And I don't think the rain is letting us talk anymore. So, I had given you a task last time. What was your task? What was your task? To? What was it? How many triangles did you see? Did you count your triangles? Did you count your triangles? How many triangles did you see? 3, 4? Where did the triangles come from? The triangles are all what? Triangles are all mental perceptions. Okay, so this week your task is what? To write down the script of your life. Everything from the beginning to the end. How is it that you want to pass away? I want to pass away in my bed, looking up at the ceiling. Huh? Of course, right? Write the script of life. No. Take the script of life and rip it up. Tear it to pieces. But don't forget, frame the society script, but rip up the others. Be able to live without a script. Scriptless. That's your task this week. And as the rain is unforgiving today, let's take a moment to transfer our merits and conclude. Is rain a bad thing? Rain is horrible. It's wet. Right? Rain is horrible, it's wet, it's annoying, of course. Where is rain in your script? Where is rain in your script? Is it not on your script? See, it's raining. Where is it on your script? Where is it? Okay, let's take a few moments to transfer our merits and conclude. Let us take a moment to transfer all the merits required by making offerings to the infinite virtues of the Noble Triple Gem, chanting praise within Dharma, engaging in various meritorious deeds today. So first and foremost, let's remind ourselves how incredibly fortunate we are to be in receipt of the Lord Buddha's teachings. And with immense gratitude, let's transfer the merits to the Bhikshu Bhikshunis, Upasakas, who since time immemorial have protected and preserved the sublime teaching of the Buddha and pass it down to the generation of the noble lineage in the form of the Tripitaka, which is thankfully available to us today to study, to understand, to comprehend the Dhamma. Let's also take a moment to transfer the merits that we've all acquired to all the members of the Mahasangha present throughout the world, including all the chief prelates of all the chapters, who have dedicated their lives to the noble path and committed themselves to the betterment of all sentient beings. Let us not forget among them will be the monks and nuns residing in local temples and nunneries, who've always been by your side through thick and thin, come rain or shine. Let's also take one transfer merits to Guru Sahib, as well as the monks resident at the monastery, as well as the Anagarikas attached to the monastery. Let's also take a moment to transfer merits and express our gratitude to those who make great effort to disseminate the teaching of the Buddha, be that by transliterating sermons, sharing them out with others, inviting others to join them, make the power of the merits. If any have been born in the world plane, may they redeem themselves and be born in the blissful plane. May by the power of the merits, may they abstain from unmeritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the noble eightfold path, and attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And so I'll take my chance and merits to our mothers, fathers, husbands and wives, brothers, sisters, sons, daughters, grandparents, uncles, aunts, cousins, nephews, nieces, friends and acquaintances, employees and employees, to all that have helped us, supported us, assisted us in shape or form. By the power of these merits, may they be healed of physical and mental ailments, may they overcome any obstacles in spiritual progress, may they abstain from meritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the noble eightfold path, and attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. There's also Mount Shasta merits to the Devas, Brahmas, spirits, demons, primary Sakadeva, as well as even golden deities, who have committed to protect and fulfill the Sambandha Sasana. Let's not forget, among them will be our garden deities, who keep a watchful eye over us and keep us out of harm's way. May the power of these merits, may they prosper in divine power and wisdom, may they abstain from meritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the noble path, and attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. This also takes chance of merits to our ancestors, who have predeceased us, to all that has been friends and family to us in this even long journey in samsara. So take moment chance to these merits to all that have helped us, support, assist us in any shape or form. And also to the members of the armed forces as the police force who've sacrificed their lives to protect the peace and harmony of our nation. May all that have lost life in war, be their friend or foe, rejoice in the merits required today. Let's also take chance to all those lost life in natural calamities such as tsunamis, earthquakes, landslides, pandemics, reminding ourselves among them will be those who have been friends and family to us in long journey in samsara. May these power these merits. If anything born in the willful plane, may they redeem themselves in born blissful plane. May by the power of merits, may they abstain from meritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the noble eightfold path, and attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And finally, let's all resolve, may the power and blessing of all the merits acquired throughout the day We've been witness the event of many hundreds of thousands of Arhat main nuances in this very land, in this blessed land itself. And finally, with all the merits throughout the day, you and I never made this program a success, become a Arhat nuance or a Arhat main nuance in this very life in the era of the Gautam Supreme Buddha itself. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. May the blessings of Jipacham be with you all. The Mahasangha will now transfer their blessings to you. Raga ginnen midetva Dvesha ginnen midetva Moha ginnen midetva Nibbana parama sukhayin Sukita taravitva Nibbana parama sukhayin Sukita taravitva Nibbana parama sukhayin Sukita taravitva Mamada siyalu loka siyalu satvayo Nibbana parama sukhayin Sukita taravitva Nibbana parama sukhayin Sukita taravitva Nibbana parama sukhayin Sukita taravitva Raga gini niveva Dvesha gini niveva Moha gini niveva Nivan sapa lebeva Nivan sapa lebeva Nivan sapa lebeva Tunrange Susiyananta Mahaguna Belim Sirloka Sila Satyoma Nibbana Pamasokin Suvitaravitva Sadhu Sadhu Sadhu